students, in this module we shall learn about traditional methods of solid waste collection and disposal. Solid waste collection is an important activity of any solid waste management plan, because if solid waste is not collected, without that it can neither be disposed nor be managed. As well as we must know that if solid waste is collected in an improper way, that may also be harmful to the human beings as well as to the environment. In addition to this, we should also know that what is the difference in waste disposal and waste management. In case of waste disposal, waste just disappear, waste is not visible to us, but waste is existing in the environment here, there, up, down somewhere, and in the long run it may be having its harmful effects on the human beings as well as on the environment. Whereas, in case of solid waste management, the waste is really managed. We make use of some method. The waste is either used as a raw material or as a resource for some method where it is converted into some product, and the waste, those are not converted into some product by any method, they are finally either disposed in the landfills or incinerated. The learning objectives of this module are to know about waste disposal in ancient times, why waste collection is important, and what are the traditional methods which are used for the disposal of solid waste. In addition to this, we will also have an overview of different waste disposal methods practiced in present times, as well as we also have a look on different laws that have been enacted for the management of solid waste. The problem of solid waste generation is as old as the advent of human life. I have read somewhere that solid waste was generated with the existence of human life appearance on this earth, but in ancient times waste generation was mainly biodegradable, non-toxic, population was very less, plenty of land was available, so the disposal and management of waste was not a issue. But industrialization, rather I would like to say haphazard industrialization, has completely changed the scenario. In the changed scenario, the nature of solid waste has completely changed. Now the solid wastes are recalcitrant as well as toxic. You might be knowing recalcitrant is that waste that cannot be degraded easily. We have seen in past decades or in the past century a number of industrial accidents due to the poor disposal in solid waste. Yes, one of such accident is Love Canal accident. This Love Canal accident happened in the US. Actually, there is you know about the Great Lakes of USA. One scientist or engineer rather named as Love, he wanted to make a canal between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. But he digged out this canal up to 1.6 kilometer and then he stopped work. This all was done somewhere in 1890s, and this area that was digged out over there, that was used by different industries for the disposal of their waste. And because of that waste, the chemicals which were dumped over there in that area, they leached out in the houses and lot of hue and cry was there. I'll suggest the student to study about Love Canal accident. Over there they will come to know that how the improper disposal of solid waste can be harmful to humans as well as to the environment. During prehistoric times, human lived in a group like nomad, and the waste they generated was degraded by the sequencers. Non-biodegradable waste, if any, at that time was produced, that was non-toxic as well as non-reactive and also non-explosive in nature, so that never posed any problem. The general method employed for the management and disposal of solid waste was open dumping. Even today, this open dumping is a common method for the disposal or to get rid of solid waste. Open dumping is a easy and cheap method, that is why people prefer this method. During ancient civilization, there was no organized waste management system, but we will find some references in the literature that some efforts have been made by certain societies, certain communities, certain civilization for the solid waste management. In ancient time, people used to litter waste anywhere, and in case of water problem, they either cover the waste with clay or soil. Now, let me have a look upon different efforts that have been done or for the disposal of solid waste. The early history of waste dumping system can be traced back to 500 BC in Greece. In Greece, people first created town dumps. That is the first reported case of the solid waste disposal. The Greeks by law were directed to dump the waste 1 mile away from the city to make the city odor free as well as to maintain the aestheticity of the city area. During same time, Athene law prohibited littering of waste on the streets. That was not allowed. On the other hand, the Egyptian, they dumped their garbage in river Nile, and during 2nd century BC, the Chinese people had systematic workforce for the organized cleaning of major cities. So, here you will see that all efforts, whatever were done, they were limited to the urban areas or to the cities only. You know about Maya civilization. The Mayans in ancient time had proper waste disposal system, where they had special dumps for organic waste and refused material like broken earthen pots. But industrial revolution accompanied major changes in waste quality as well as in the waste quantity. Europe in 18th and 19th century saw widespread occurrence of epidemics due to industrial waste and human waste disposal in an improper way. I will request the students to please have a look upon those epidemics that happened in Europe due to the disposal of industrial solid waste and human waste. Americans, they generally collect waste in huge bags and dump it into sea. The ocean dumping itself is a very big issue. In a few minutes, we will be knowing that what is ocean dumping and what are the drawbacks of ocean dumping. Now, the question arises, why there is a need for waste collection? Because if we do not collect the waste, it will remain littered everywhere, and it may be having its effect on the human beings as well as on the environment. If solid waste is not collected, or if it is collected in an improper way, then it may be having its effect upon human health as well as on the environment. Let me have a look on the different effects which may be there on the human health and environment due to no collection or improper collection of solid waste. As far as the effects on human health are concerned, the organic constituents on degradation may produce foul odor because of release of various gases. The accumulated organic solid waste draw disease causing vectors such as insects, pests and rodents. The diseases such as typhoid, cholera, they are spread by such vectors. If the waste is not disposed properly, it can enter water bodies, and then it can cause contamination of water bodies. This may block drainage system, this may promote growth of mosquitoes. So, what we can say, this may ultimately threaten the human life. Now, let me have a look the effects of improper or no waste collection on the environment. The improper handling and management of waste badly affect the physical environment. The contaminants of solid waste pollute water bodies, soil as well as air. Means we can say that if solid wastes are not collected, they may affect every component of the environment. The open burning of solid waste that lead to air pollution, that may have health problem. Subsequently, this stresses the sustainability of the environment, means the overall environment is affected. This may also affect the aesthetics of an area. Solid waste, if not disposed properly, they affect the physical appearance of a particular locality. Littering of waste on street spoils the scenic beauty of the environment as a whole. This no collection or improper collection also have effects on economic growth of a particular area. The cleaner cities will certainly invite tourists and private investment that help in creating major job opportunities and provide satisfactory services to its citizens. Thus, proper solid waste management through improved waste collection facilities can overcome all above effects. In the second week as well as in the third week, we will be learning about different methods which are used for waste collection. Let me have a look upon street cleaning, because huge quantities of the waste are generated in the streets as well as along the roadsides, in addition to our houses and our premises. The waste present in the streets that include natural waste, the waste that is blown from adjoining open spaces, as well as the behavioral waste, the waste disposed by pedestrians and people using the streets. You might have seen that we are going along a road and we are eating something, and after eating something, the wrappers of that or the peels of the fruits we just throw on the streets. And this is because of our behavior, that we don't have solid waste disposal and management in our behavior and in our culture. Waste from residences is often thrown by roadsides. Waste generated on roads, such as accidental spillage from loaded vehicles, construction waste, animal droppings, oil spillage from vehicles, and rubber during traffic congestion. When you usually talk about solid waste, I say that we people are infected by a syndrome. I call it NIMBY syndrome. NIMBY means NIMBY. The full form of NIMBY is not in my backyard. You might have seen many people that whenever they go for a morning walk or they go for an evening walk, they take their domestic waste in a polythene or in some other container and throw it along the roadside or somewhere else where it creates problems. The waste generated from nearby residential areas, commercial areas and industrial areas are also disposed in the streets. Waste generated by the roadside vegetable and fruit vendors, street hawkers and slum dwellers, these are also disposed along the streets. In addition to this, you will find that number of streets are not metalled, so that's why this soil is also a significant component of the street sweepings. Sweepers generally clean only major streets and drainage and avoid narrow street lanes. They also don't stop at each and every doorstep to collect waste. This door-to-door waste collection has been introduced in the major cities of the India, but yet this is not practiced in the smaller towns as well as in the villages. The sweeping is carried out manually by using short-handed brooms, although there is a perceptible trend toward the use of long-handled brooms by the cleaners. Only major roads are swept every day, while the minor roads are swept once in a week, or sometime even more than 1 week is taken to clean the minor roads. The manual cleaning work is carried out commonly by one person sweeping the road, and other will collect the waste material in a hand cart. They work in two shifts in India, mainly one in the morning shift and other in the evening shift. The morning shift is generally from 6 a.m. to 12 noon and the evening shift is from 3 to 5 p.m. in the evening. Usually these street cleaners, they work on 6 days A weak, the lack of manpower and insufficient funds availability is one of the major cause with the street cleaning and street sweeping. Now, let we have a look upon traditional methods of solid waste century. In 20th century, humans have dealt with solid waste in three basic ways. One, by burning the waste, second, by dumping the waste, and third, by deep burial of the solid waste. Let me discuss about open burning of waste. What is open burning of waste? This is nothing but incineration of waste at lower temperature. Actually, the term incineration is used when the temperature is somewhere in the range of 800 to 1100 degree Celsius. When we burn waste at higher temperature, some 800 to 1100 degree Celsius, that time no toxic gases or very lesser toxic gases are produced. But when the waste is burned at lower temperature, somewhere in 300 to 400 or 500 degree Celsius range, that time very toxic and harmful gases, as I discussed just now, these dioxins and furans are produced. Although this open burning is a traditional method of waste management practiced by major population of the country, but this is not a proper method of waste management. Yes, we agree, or you will also agree, that this method reduces the quantity of the waste, but toxicity is increased and other components of the environment are polluted. About 40% of the solid waste at global level is eliminated by open burning. In developing countries, including India, it is widely practiced because it is easy, cheap and an effective way to get rid of solid waste. Generally, open burning is carried out near the dump sites, because when waste is burnt near the dump site, then it reduces the cost of transportation also. Burning of solid waste leads to air pollution, which in turn helps in the heating of the earth drastically. Yes, the burning of solid waste may lead to global warming problems also. It has been scientifically proved that open burning releases harmful gases and causes soil as well as water pollution. The another method is dumping of solid waste. This is also one of very common traditional method used for waste disposal. The waste is first cleared from the source of generation and dumped in a specified location in such a way that it does not cause any serious implication to humans and the environment. Nowadays, urban local bodies have approved the dumping of waste as a mean of waste disposal. It is the responsibility of local associations to ensure that waste is safely disposed within its jurisdiction. Otherwise, this may be a problem for that particular area, particular community or particular city. In present scenario, there is no system or scientifically organized method for the treatment of waste. In India, at present, major emphasis is given to the waste collection, very less attention is given to the waste management. The open dumping results in built of unhygienic conditions around the dump site. The mismanaged dumping sites pose serious threat to the environment as well as public health. Now, let me have a look upon the waste dumping practices used in the major cities of India. Let me have a look on Bengaluru, that how the waste is dumped. The waste is commonly dumped openly in Bengaluru. This city consists of near 14 open dumping sites where the wastes are piled in heaps without any treatment. Recently, I came across a research paper in which the author has reported that there is a large number of small dump sites. So, I will suggest the students, they must study in their locality the unauthorized dump sites, small size dump sites in a colony or in a locality, and they should try to find out the reasons that why the waste is disposed like this in open in different localities. As far as Bengaluru is concerned, it has 2 composting plants with the capacity of 220.4 tons and 330.6 tons of waste processing. This is the installed capacity of the plants, but generally these plants operate at a very lesser capacity. They just operate at 1/3 of their waste handling capacity only. As far as the Kolkata is concerned, in Kolkata the waste is disposed by open dumping. Kolkata has around 40 open dumping disposal sites. About 10 metric tons to 500 metric tons of solid waste are dumped in these sites every day. Okay. Now, let me have a look on the prominent dumping sites, open dumping sites in the major cities in India. Let me have a look on the Mumbai. In case of Mumbai, we have 4 open dumping sites for the solid waste. These are named as Deonar, Mulund and Kanjurmarg. About 50% of the total waste that is generated over there in Mumbai, that is dumped at the single site, that is Deonar site. In case of Delhi also, there are several solid waste disposal sites, and these sites are Okhla site, Gazipur site, Narela Bhuwana site and Bhalsava sites. These dumping sites cover about 150 acres area of land in Delhi. As far as Chennai is concerned, Chennai is having this Kondugiyar and Perungudi waste dumping sites, and in Bengaluru also we have 3 or 4 waste dumping sites. These sites are Mandur and Bingipura and Lakshmipura sites. Students, let me show you some of the photographs, and from those photographs you will have an idea that how the solid waste is dumped in different cities. In this slide I am showing you 2 pictures, and these pictures are from the Deonar dump site, Mumbai. You will find that Deonar dump site is very near to the sea, and the leachate from this site may contaminate the seawater. The fire is very common in this dump site. About few years back there was big news in the newspapers that there was a fire in this dump site, and because of that fire in that dump site, visibility was significantly reduced in that area, and that may have affected particularly the ill people having asthma problem, as well as children, due to the presence of particulate matter in the smoke. This picture is from the Gazipur dump site in New Delhi. About a year back, these dump sites in Delhi were in news, because in one of the dump sites in Delhi, the waste that was piled up over there that had fallen, and because of that some of the cars which were parked on the road, they were flown to the some nearby water body, as well as 2 people died over there. And as well as you will see here that these rag pickers and stray animals, they visit over there. This may lead to some kind of diseases in the animals as well as in the people. Those are visiting those sites. Yes, while travelling from Gurugram, that was earlier called as Gurgaon, to Faridabad, I have clicked this photograph. There is also a mountain of solid waste, and that is although it is called as a landfill, but this is not a landfill, this is a dump site. I will suggest the students to have a look on this picture and write down by their own that what to do of this mountain of solid waste and how to manage this mountain of solid waste. In Guwahati, that is the capital of Assam, you can say, there is also a dump site. This dump site is near to a lake that is called as Deepor Bill. This Deepor Bill is a heritage site, Ramsar. This is a Ramsar site, and a number of birds visit to that site. So, along the sides of on the one side of that bill, there is a big mountain of solid waste, and certainly there may be some runoff from this dump site to the bill. and that may have effect on the aquatic life that is visiting to this water body. And here also you will find that rag pickers, a number of birds as well as stray cattle, they visit to this dump site. Yes, from this picture we can see one thing more, that when rag pickers are visiting to this site, it means some resources are present in this waste. So, if these resources are recovered before the disposal of this waste in the dump site, it will be having two advantages. Number one, our resources will be conserved. Secondly, the volume of the waste that is going to the dump will be decreased significantly. Dumping of solid waste in the sea or ocean is an age old practice, because it is easy way to get rid of the solid waste, and this method, that is of dumping of solid waste in the oceans, is widely practiced in the coastal areas throughout the world. The waste is generally taken to the canal boats and dumped at least 15 to 30 kilometer away from the coastline. This practice of waste disposal is, however, expensive and not environment friendly, but still this method of solid waste is practiced very commonly. Let me have a look on the demerits of ocean dumping of solid waste. It is economical to dump waste near the shore by the communities, but transporting and disposing waste deep in the ocean require huge investment and well designed system. The waste accumulated deep inside the ocean may have hidden risks in long run. In one of the investigation, the mercury level in the whale was found to be much higher than in the ocean. That may be due to bioaccumulation. Let me give you another example of the Minamata disaster. You all might be knowing about Minamata disaster. In that case, one industrial waste, although it was not solid waste, was dumped in the ocean. Ultimately, mercury bioaccumulated in the fish, and that led to so many problems in the people living in the village Minamata. So, please study about this Minamata case and try to correlate here with the ocean dumping. Once the toxins are dumped in ocean, the contaminant is not ensured. If the waste dumped contains more organic matter, then it may result in the depletion of oxygen levels also. That may also have its effect on the flora and fauna of the ocean, as well as other effects may also arise. Once a damage is done to the particular area in the ocean, it will take long time to restore, as the residence time of ocean is quite high. Yes, in addition to this disposal of solid waste in the agricultural fields is also practiced at certain places. In that case, what is done, that the solid waste is disposed in the agricultural fields, and then farmers plough the field and then it is buried by the ploughing. But this is not a very good method, because the toxicants which are present in the solid waste, they may enter into our food chain. But nowadays the farmers have gone very conscious. They do not allow the communities, they do not allow the municipalities to dispose their solid waste in the agricultural fields, as well as this is not an environment friendly method. Now, let me have a look on the different regulations which have been passed for the ocean dumping. Waste disposal without any proper planning have severely affected ocean life. Around 200 red tides have been experienced yearly in the Japan's inland sea. In 1988, New York and New Jersey closed its beaches because of washing off medical waste and sewage. Waste dumping has severely affected fishery industry, as toxins which are present in the solid waste, they get accumulated in the marine animals over a period of time and make them unsuitable for consumption for human beings. A number of acts have been passed or enacted to deal with the ocean dumping problem. In 1972, Marine Protection Research and Centuries Act was enacted in the US. Yes, the acts which I am talking here, these are not the Indian acts. In 1974, London Dumping Convention implementation was enacted. Then in 1977 and in 1980s, authorization of appropriations were passed. In 1982, Surface Transportation Assistance Act was enacted. Then in 1986, Budget Reconciliation Act was enacted. Then in 1986, Water Resources Development Act was enacted. In 1987, Water Quality Act of 1987 was enacted. In 1988, Ocean Dumping Research Amendments were given, and then again in 1988, Ocean Dumping Ban Act was enacted. Then again in 1988, US Public Vessel Medical Waste Anti-Dumping Act was enacted, and in 1990, the Regional Marine Research Centers Act was enacted. In 1992, National Coastal Monitoring Act was enacted, and again in 1992, Water Resources Development Act was enacted. Now, let me have a little bit look on the solid waste disposal rules in India. Actually, in India, the Government of India under Environment Protection Act 1986 had passed Municipality Solid Waste Management and Handling Rules in 2000. Now, those rules have been revamped and repealed, and they have been notified as New Solid Waste Management Handling Rules 2016 on April 8th, 2016. Now, the various areas that have been covered under Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 includes every urban local body starting from mega city to the panchayat level. Then outgrowths in urban agglomerations have been included. Then census towns as declared by Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India. Then notified areas, then notified industrial townships, then all areas that are under the control of Indian Railways, airports and air bases, then ports and harbours, then defence establishments, then special economic zones, states and centre government organizations, places of pilgrims, then religious and historical importance places as may be notified by respective state government from time to time, and every domestic, institutional, commercial and any other non-residential solid waste generator situated in these areas are included in this act. I will suggest my student just to have a look on the this solid waste management rule 2016, so that they know that what provisions have been provided. I will also suggest the students just to have a comparison of this this municipality waste management handling rules 2000 and solid waste management rules of 2016, to compare these two and to find out that what new provisions have been added in the solid waste management rule 2016. Now, let me have a look upon various methods which are used at present for the disposal or management of solid waste. The common methods again is open dumping, open burning, hog feeding. Hog feeding, although is banned in a number of countries, but still this method is a very common sight in Indian cities and Indian towns, and this may lead to a number of viral diseases, particularly in those people those eat this pork. Then landfilling is another method. Landfilling, sometimes called as ultimate method of the disposal of solid waste. Then incineration is another method, but if the incineration is not carried out at proper temperature, this may also be harmful. Recycling, yes, this is a very good method for the solid waste management. And pyrolysis is another method that is used, although that is used for the waste management, and by this method energy can be recovered from the solid waste. Then biomethanation, in which again biofuel can be produced from the waste. Then livestock feeding is another approach that can be used, but here only non-toxic solid waste, particularly the agricultural waste, can be used. Then fuel briquetting is another method that can be used for the management of solid waste. In case of fuel briquetting, those waste, those are having high calorific value, can be used. Then composting is another method in which the waste can be converted into a very good quality soil conditioner than vermicomposting. Vermicomposting is not very different from composting. In case of composting, microorganisms are used, whereas in case of vermicomposting, these earth forms are used. These two techniques we will be studying in detail in the coming weeks. At the end of this module, we have learned about traditional waste collection methods. Old traditional disposal methods include open burning, open dumping and disposal of waste in water bodies, that is ocean dumping, and open dumps of various cities at present in India. As well as in addition to this, we have learnt about different acts, different regulations that have been passed for solid waste disposal in water bodies, as well as we have learnt about different areas which are now covered under solid waste management handling rules 2016. Thank you.